Mario and archaeologist Edmundo Edwards wage a desperate battle to stave off the effects of erosion. The work involves the painstaking process of plotting the position and alignment of each statue. So far, only 12 have been restored because there isn't enough manpower or machinery to save more. Somehow, the statues were transported across 20 miles of rough terrain to the sea. No evidence remains of how the engineering feat was accomplished. But a primitive boat rolling method, still used by local fishermen, provides a glimmering of how it was done. The theory holds that the statues were rolled over miles of wooden skids to the beach. If true, this is one of the earliest uses of rollers known to man. Not even the more technologically advanced Egyptians knew of this method when they moved the giant blocks for their pyramids. How did a people, isolated by thousands of miles of endless sea, develop an advanced engineering skill? The riddle of how the statues were moved has challenged many men to come up with a concrete solution. Diagrams illustrate what the ancient method might have been. For Roberto Forster, a local engineer, the theory of the giant rollers is not enough. He swears he can demonstrate a more practical method. He calls his invention the fulcrumista. As in the seesaw, the principle of the fulcrum is to exert the greatest possible leverage in the lifting of an object. In an experiment executed on a small scale, Roberto intends to move a 5-ton stone to prove how a 50-ton giant might once have been transported. Roberto prevails on the mayor to gather a workforce for his project. He vows he will solve the ancient riddle once and for all. The mayor has doubts, but agrees. The experiment is scheduled for tomorrow morning. The experiment will be carried out on a small scale. A 5-ton stone replacing the 50-odd tons of a monolith. On the appointed morning, a workforce gathers for the momentous test. Roberto's fulcrumista will either stand or fall. Edmundo, Mario, and even the mayor himself have joined in the effort to put to rest once and for all the question of how the statues were moved. A fiasco. Indeed, if the attempts of modern man to solve these incredible engineering feats meet with failure, think of the ingenuity of the ancient carvers. One may well wonder if the peoples of those early times did not have gifts that have been lost to us. The secret remains locked behind stone faces. Faces that remind archaeologists of another face staring out over its mountain kingdom. The place is Tiahuanaco, Bolivia, an ancient civilization built on a bleak plateau in the Andes. Stone gods separated by 4,000 miles and a span of at least as many years. There is no evidence that there was any contact between the two cultures, and yet the features bear an uncanny resemblance. With what common spirit might they have been invested? Perhaps one of the 7 written tablets found on the island contain the answer. The pictographs are like those of no language known on Earth. They have not been decoded, but anthropologists believe they tell a dark and bloody tale. There is evidence that long ago the island was torn by terrible civil strife, with brother pitted against brother. The bones of hundreds of islanders have been found in caves that stretch for miles under the lava crust. What were the natives hiding from? Why were they slain? Edmundo ascribes it to overpopulation and starvation. He speculates that in mass frenzy, the strongest killed the weakest and survived by eating human flesh. The survivors set up the worship of a new god, the Birdman, who dove on his prey from the sky. Folklore has it that on the first day of spring, the strongest men would swim through shark-endangered waters to the tiny island that lies offshore. They would search the crags for the Manotaura egg and swim back, carrying the prize in their mouths. The first man back was proclaimed king for 1 year. Perhaps the petroglyphs tell the story of the days that preceded the Birdman cult. Archaeologists have labored since the glyphs were first discovered in 1922 to decipher the meaning of the bizarre symbols. The chalk paint accentuates the designs, but cannot unlock the meaning of the curious etchings. Only a tragic face remains as an emblem of past events.
¿Qué cosa bien?
10, 20, 30.
Ya. Hanere.
The strongest clues seem to lie in the myths and legends handed down by word of mouth over the centuries. Juanito Huera is a noted linguist who understands many tongues. The old woman begins to chant a tale about a war between the long ears and the short ears. Her story bears the epic ring of heroic battles and great conquests. It sounds like a tale out of ancient Greece, a great saga in which the short ears rose from enslavement and in a battle that rumbled like the quaking of the earth, slew every man, woman, and child who had long ears.